Hey everyone, Andrew Meet Rich here, and I appreciate you tuning in today. So look, I spent years inside a major media outlet, watched how stories got bent and shaped to fit whatever narrative they wanted to push, and I decided enough was enough. Now I'm on my own, I speak my mind, and I bring you what actually matters, not what they want you to believe. If you find value in what I do here, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and if you really want to support independent journalism that doesn't answer to corporate masters, consider becoming a channel sponsor. It means the world to me, truly, because this only works if people like you believe in what we're doing here. Now let's dive into what has Europe absolutely shaken right now. And I mean seriously shaken. The Louvre, one of the most iconic museums in the entire world, just got robbed. And not just any robbery. This was audacious, calculated, and frankly, embarrassing for France. Here's what happened. Around 9:30 in the morning, a group of thieves rolled up on scooters, dressed as museum workers. Think about that for a second. They just walked in looking like they belonged there. They used an external freight elevator to reach the windows, cut their way inside with power saws, then proceeded to slice open display cases containing treasures from Napoleon's collection and French monarchs. They made off with the loot and vanished. But here's the twist. During their escape, they dropped Empress Eugenie's crown. Police found it smashed to pieces not far from the museum. France's Interior Minister, Laurent Nunez, came out and said what was stolen represents priceless cultural heritage. According to him, the whole operation took just 7 minutes. 7 minutes. This wasn't some amateur hour situation. This was a highly experienced criminal group that clearly did their homework and moved with surgical precision. Security was reportedly stunned, just completely caught off guard. The Louvre announced it would remain closed all day for, quote, exceptional reasons. I love that phrasing. Very French, very vague. 9 items were stolen, jewelry from Napoleon and the Empress. Necklaces, brooches, a tiara, you name it. As of now, 2 of the 9 stolen pieces have been recovered. Eyewitnesses described total chaos among visitors right after the heist. People said police were running toward the pyramid entrance, trying to force their way in through the side glass doors, but everything was locked. Inside, people were pounding on the glass, desperate to get out. The scene was swarming with officers and gendarmes within minutes. Now here's something interesting. The robbery happened in the Apollo Gallery, which is one of the most iconic sections of the Louvre. It houses some of the museum's most valuable historical collections. And get this, for reasons nobody can explain, the thieves left behind the largest diamond in Napoleon's collection, the famous Regent, a 140-carat monster, one of the most renowned gemstones on the planet. Why? Did they panic? Did they know something we don't? Nobody knows. Jordan Bardella, leader of the right-wing National Rally opposition party, didn't hold back. He called this robbery a clear sign of the French state's decline. He said, and I quote, "The Louvre is a global symbol of French culture. This robbery, which allowed thieves to steal France's royal jewels, is an unbearable humiliation for the country. How far will the state's decline go?" Strong words, but honestly, can you blame him? An investigation has been launched, led by the Anti-Gang Brigade of the Criminal Investigations Department, working with the Central Office for Combating Illegal Trafficking in Cultural Goods. We'll see if they actually catch these people or if this just fades into the background. Either outcome tells us something, and if that wasn't bad enough for France, here's another blow. Standard & Poor's, one of the largest international ratings agencies, just downgraded France's sovereign credit rating in an unscheduled update. They cited increased uncertainty and political instability. France's budget deficit is way over the 3% of GDP limit set by the European Union, which means France is now under intense scrutiny from both the European community and international investors. To put it bluntly, they've mismanaged themselves into a corner. The situation is serious, and it's not getting better anytime soon. But stick with me, because Germany just threw its own curveball into the mix. A security expert named Ferdinand Geringer just ramped up the fear factor by announcing that Germany has massive shortcomings in civil defense. He's advising citizens to be prepared for 72 hours of isolation. Yeah, you heard that right. Geringer rated Germany's emergency preparedness at 4, maybe 5 out of 10. Not exactly inspiring confidence, is it? He pointed out that the Federal Office of Civil Protection and Disaster Assistance recommends households maintain a 10-day supply of basic food, but according to him, that's barely realistic, especially for families. So experts are now saying 3 days of supplies is more reasonable. If citizens can handle 72 hours of isolation in case of, and I quote, war with Russia, that would already be significant progress. His words, not mine. Let that sink in for a moment. Before we go further, do me a favor, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this. Is Europe spiraling, or is this just sensationalized fear-mongering? I want to hear from you. And if you haven't already, subscribe. This channel is growing because of viewers like you. Now, switching gears to something a bit lighter but still interesting. Remember that white motorcycle I mentioned yesterday? The one Pope Leo XIV personally signed? Well, it just went under the hammer at an auto auction. Started at €30,000, but the bidding took off fast. An anonymous buyer ended up paying over €130,000 for it. I guess having the Pope's signature adds a bit of value. The proceeds are reportedly going to help children in Madagascar. And speaking of Madagascar, that country is going through some serious turmoil right now. After nearly 3 weeks of massive protests in the capital and other cities, the president fled the country, and the military announced they've seized power. A full-blown coup. Now the question is, was this a Chilean-style corporate-backed overthrow, or did the people genuinely organize and rise up against economic hardship and corruption, with the army eventually siding with them? Could be either. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. The intrigue is massive. Now let's talk about the United States, because yesterday's mass demonstrations are being heavily discussed today. Democrats organized yet another massive show, and if you're watching from the outside, it's pretty obvious what this is. But to be fair, let me share what media outlets supporting the Democratic Party are reporting. Under the slogan, "No Kings," another wave of mass protests against President Donald Trump took place. 2,600 demonstrations across all 50 states. Organizers claim nearly 7 million participants showed up. They were protesting Trump's policies on undocumented migrants, as well as cuts in environmental protection and healthcare. Prominent opposition politicians used these protests as a platform for fiery speeches. In Washington, well-known left-wing politician Bernie Sanders declared that people came to the rally because they love America. So that's the show they put on, from the minority perspective. But here's the thing, the United States is a democracy, and the majority elected Republican Donald Trump. No one's stopping anyone from expressing their views, but the minority has to accept the will of the majority. And let's be honest, these protests were partially funded. You can't get around that fact. In this day and age, nobody believes in spontaneous mass organization anymore. These rallies, just like before, had zero impact. It was obvious from the start. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance had their own fun with it. They posted various humorous videos created with artificial intelligence, poking fun, in good democratic spirit, at the minority that Democrats dragged onto the streets. Maybe those Democrats should have focused on stopping the shutdown instead of spending big money on hopeless spectacles. But we'll see what happens next. It definitely won't be boring. As for new hard-hitting statements from Donald Trump being discussed today, he's confident in his ability to resolve the war in Ukraine, but he made it clear he won't put the United States at risk in the process. Those are the key takeaways for now, and they speak volumes. So to wrap this up quickly, we've covered a brazen heist at the Louvre that has France reeling, a credit downgrade that signals serious economic trouble, Germany warning its citizens to prepare for potential conflict, a papal motorcycle raising funds amid a coup in Madagascar, mass protests in the US that went nowhere, and Trump staying firm on his Ukraine stance without risking American interests. That's where we stand right now, and things are only heating up. Write your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think about everything happening and what I've said here. I want to hear your take. If this kind of coverage matters to you, if you value someone who's not reading from a script handed down by executives, then please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you really believe in what we're building here, consider becoming a sponsor. Your support keeps this independent, it keeps it real, and it keeps it going. I'll be back tomorrow with more, because trust me, there's always something to talk about. Let's hope the news gets better. Take care, stay informed, and I'll see you soon.